In this tutorial in Tiler Pro, we're going to take a second look at how to use pre-designed rectangle objects to enhance your editing of titles. So what I want to do is augment what I've done here, and in order to find the rectangles available to me, I click on the Library tab in the upper left corner, and then I move to the Shapes option. I can click the down arrow if I want to see the same options I have at the right on the folder. It doesn't matter. But then I can click on rectangles here or rectangles here. And I will choose this one. And it gives me a host of rectangles. We noticed again that our default is this white square, but now we're going to try some other ones. Let me try the plate orange one. Double click and there we have a new rectangle. Now it calls it a shape in this version of Tiler Pro. And let's see where it inserted it. Where did it give me my shape? Not that layer, not that layer, not that layer. Okay, it's the third layer up in this particular case. So what I want to do is I want to make sure it's behind my letters, and I'm going to change the look of it, the size. I can move it with the mouse, or I can go through my XY position or XY scale. I think I'm going to, let's see, make it a little bit narrower here. And we'll take our position and we'll drag that to the right. And make it a little narrower yet if I want to. I'll scale my Y back using the up and down arrow keys. Let's scale the X. And then I'm going to move it a little bit left on the X grid. I like the way you can tweak this, get it pretty precise. And there we go. Now I have this in a rectangle, and I had no design to do. And it gave me the kind of the curl on the bottom, the dark on the top. It's a nice option. Let me show you another one that you can use, and I'm going to go again to my library rectangles. We've done the plate chrome and the plate silver. Let's try a plate red here. And so here's another example. I just clicked on it, and now I got to figure out which layer it's at. Put this at the very top. There we go. I'm going to move it down just above the white layer. And again, we can take it, we can resize it, and we can use the mouse, or we can use the other options that we have. It's just a nice way to make some pretty cool changes when you're looking at rectangles in your options. I probably wouldn't use two on the same screen, but this does give me a way I can do that. Let me give you a third one that we're going to show you. I click back on Library. I'm going to go to the top options. Now the top options contain some very nice blue-gray fades or simple lines. If I want to take Richland's Furnishings and put a bar below it, let's do a red bar, and notice I have the nice fade option here. So all I need to do again is move to the shape, drag it to the right layer. Again, I'm going to put it one up from the bottom, and then I will go ahead and make this smaller and make it wider. Again, we can tweak it other ways, but now I have a pretty nice bar that's not perfectly red. It actually has a gradient to it. It has a shade to it. If I want to change any of these stylistic things, again, I can go to my Style tab, and once I click back on the right shape, there we go. Here I see what my gradient is. I see I have a shadow. I can change the color of the shadow, and I can even add more effects to it if I want. If I want it real thin, I can go back to the option here when it comes to object, and I can take my scale, and I can take my Y scale, which is my height, and I can make it as small as I want, down to 0.01, which is almost invisible, and as thick as I like. It's a nice way to tweak the scale of that one. Another option that you have in shapes that you'll be using from time to time is by going to your library, into the shapes and rectangles, you have a line black and a line white. So let me just double click on the line black. It puts it in the lower corner of the screen, and I'll click back on the shape so I can see it. I can put it here under Richland Furnishings. Again, I can change it by scale, and so I can make the X scale, make it wider if I want to. I can choose the Y scale or the up and down arrows to make it thinner or thicker. And then the other thing I haven't mentioned before is I can use the Z scale in rotation in order to rotate it. I can go up here 90 degrees if I want to put that in. And I can type in 9.0 and it will get it totally vertical. Let me do that. Highlight it. I'll go in 900. There we go. Pure vertical, and again I can change the width if I want to by changing the scale. And obviously I can change the length with the X and make it shorter. So you can use horizontal, vertical, or really any kind of rotation you want using the Z scale here to make it anything you like. And so that's another thing you can do. You have the white line and black line. Again, if I want a different color, I can just click on the style. Once I go back to my shape, I got to find the right shape here. There we go. Click on the color here, and I say, well, I don't want a black line or a white line. I want a green line, or I want a color I can pick out of my color listing here, and I've just changed the color of it. So again, once you have these in use, you can modify them to your heart's content.